Is everything on? Okay, hi everyone, thanks for still being here and wanting to watch some more of this. So we're going to go, I'm going to go over what we did before to start, which I'm just going to recap what we did in the last session, just with some visuals, because it might help you to understand it a bit clearer. And then I'm going to explain why you shouldn't aim to be better than your competition. That's one of the stories I'm going to tell you today. And it's something I discovered last year at my son's sports day at the egg and spoon race. So I'm going to try and explain why this is really important for you. So, going back over again, the reason why most marketing fails is because we try to do this. We try to take a potential customer over to becoming a paying customer in one leap, and it's too big a leap. This is the asking somebody out, it's meeting someone on the first date and saying, will you marry me? It's trying to take someone over, and what ends up happening is you end up losing customers down that gap forevermore, and they're never going to buy from you because we've just ruined the relationship with that first attempt of how we tried to market them. What ends up happening as well is if we are lucky enough to get a customer, what tends to happen is they just slide down the other side at some point, and we don't maximize the lifetime value of that customer. And this is something that's really important that I help my clients to understand. Is what is the potential lifetime value of that customer, and how do we maximize that in terms of how do we give the most value to them and how do we get the most value back from them. And this for me is covered by marketing. When people think about marketing, they just think about how do we get new people through the door in the first place, but what they don't consider a function of marketing is how do we continue to sell to our customers and how do we keep moving them forward. That's actually the easiest thing to do. If I had to help any of you guys today to get more business, I would say go to your existing customers right now and get more business out of them. I did it with a client a year or so ago, and I just got them to go to their existing clients and ask this one question: how can we get more money from you? Very direct question, how can we get more money from you? And they told them, and this one client who they thought they were getting 100% of their business from, they were getting about 20% of the business from, and they're able to secure the other 80% of the work coming from them. Very direct, very simple question. So the way to do it is, rather than trying to make someone leap across this in one go, what we do is we actually build stepping stones, which is, it's all right, pal, we'll start again. Right, anyway, back to the beginning. We actually try to build stepping stones, which is what I talked about before. So very quickly, I'm just going to explain what the key components of this that you need to do. The first part is we need to define who your dream customer is. You need to know exactly who you're aiming at. Andy, the photographer, before, he's just started, he's not here now, he was there before. I said to him, who you're aiming at? He says, anyone, I'll can photograph anyone. And as soon as he says that, I have no idea how to help him. Then I said, can you be a bit more specific? He says, yeah, I want to film sporting events. I'm like, awesome. Mini kicks are in there, let's go meet him. So I took him in to see Mini Kicks. He's filming there, doing a photography session at their next academy that they're running. It was that easy to get him some work, all because he was specific and told me who he was aiming at. While he was aiming at anyone, there was nothing I could do for him. The next thing is, how do we attract them? How do we find them people in their highest concentration? Where can we go where we're going to get as many of those people as possible? One of the biggest forms of advertising that I encourage people to get into is Facebook. There's nothing more targeted in the world than Facebook marketing. You can produce the most specific profile on there and produce a very, very targeted advert on there, trying to drive people back to the website. If you're going to do this, just heads up, with any marketing, any advertising that you do, don't try and sell your services in the advert. No one's going on Facebook looking to buy something. Help people out. Send them back to a free report. Send them back to a blog article. Give them something of value. Share something useful with them if you're going to do that. The next thing to do is to connect with them. We need a way of getting their details from them. This is such a simple, obvious line that I'm going to tell you, but it's something that so many people overlook. Everyone who comes to your website leaves your website. Yeah? Everybody who comes to your website leaves your website. And if you don't capture their details, assume they're never ever coming back. Now, you either need something free that you can give away, very big, very bold on that page, or you can use something like Facebook retargeting or Google ad retargeting so that adverts are going to follow you about. If you hit my website, you're going to start to see adverts appearing in your Facebook feed and everywhere else until you either buy or tell me to piss off. Then this is the step that most people miss out, that I saw some nods of heads before, which is this nurturing process. How do we get, once we've got someone into us, How do we develop that relationship over time, and how do we keep them going, and how do we keep moving them forward? This is where so many businesses lose people down this final gap because they don't have anything to do that, and it is so easy. It will take you a day, one day out of your time to get on MailChimp and to write a load of emails, to keep nurturing, or to write some blog articles, or to produce a couple of videos, and just to get them going. One day of your time. No one has got an excuse not to be able to set these processes and systems up. And the final thing I mentioned before is, how do we convert them? You've got to just be able to convert them into a first-time customer. I was doing some work with Yes Electrical recently, and looking at how we can help them to increase customer accounts and get more customer accounts open. So I went and did some mystery shops with them, right? And at the back of the counters, they've got have you seen the Marvel comic, like Hulk fists that come through the wall, or Spider-Man's head coming through the wall and stuff? Awesome, right? Like 20, 30 quid. But I went in, and they tried to get me to open a customer account, but they didn't try and sell me one of these for my son. And it was such an easy sell, because I was like saying, oh wow, they look amazing, my son would love that. Just sell me that, sell them something. Because as soon as you've sold them something, at that point, we can start to move them up and transition them to the next sale, and to the next and the next. So this is kind of the full marketing system that I would encourage you to have in place, whereby you move people along, and once you get in, you start to move them up as well. And a nice, easy way to do this is, once you've got a customer on board, is actually to spend some time to say, right, what is the potential value of this customer to us? What could they actually spend with us a year if we wowed them and we got them to, really love our services? And then how do we then realise that value as well? So that's the big part of that. But what I want to share with you is just one of the world's simplest marketing strategies that people overlook. It's really straightforward. And what ends up happening is, I get people coming to me and they say, the thing is, we're really good at what we do. Okay, we're really good at what we do, but we get poor results. We don't get enough customers coming in. And what I explain to them is, that is how it should be. That is the way of the world. If you are good at what you do, you will always get poor results. If you are a good employee, you will always get poor pay. That is just the way of the world. If you are great at what you do, you'll get good results. If you are excellent at what you do, you'll get great results. Whatever level you're at, you will always get one level below in return for the effort that you put in. Does that make sense? Until you move to the final level, which is to be outstanding. Only when you become outstanding at what you do you get outstanding results back. But it's about, how do you absolutely just take it to a whole new level? And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to just massively move forward, and to stop looking at your competition, and to stop trying to be better than your competition. Because here's there's two problems with that. There's two problems with trying to be better than your competition. The first one is, they're shit. Okay? We'll assume they're shit. So if you try to be better than them, all you end up being is not quite as shit as your competition. Okay? They're down here already. So all you're doing is, you're actually holding yourself back, you're limiting yourself, rather than just ignoring what they're doing, and just thinking, rather than be here, how can we be up here? How can we absolutely provide the most incredible service ever? And the other problem with that is understanding who your competition is. Because your competition is not necessarily the guys down the road doing something similar to you. Your competition is anyone I choose to compare you to. Rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, I can compare you to anyone I want, and that's your competition. So if I ring you up and I'm trying to order something from you, and it's going to take a week, 2 weeks for you to get to me, and then I go on my phone on the Amazon app, and I can order something, and in less than 60 seconds, that is now on its way to me, rightly or wrongly, I'm comparing you to Amazon. Does that make sense? So I'm actually comparing you to some big hitters, big players in the world. Now that might seem unfair, but that's the level we're at now. You've got to raise your game, you've got to become absolutely incredible. But let me tell you where I think this problem starts, okay? So I uncovered this problem last year at my son's egg and spoon race, right? So he's in year 2. He's in year 1. He's in reception class last year. He told me this story, right? I'm going to tell you a story. They're allowed to take fruit to school. They have like the fruit box to school. You might have seen this. You follow me on Facebook. You might have seen. Do you see me sharing this? So he's a really quiet little lad, sweet little boy. And they take fruit to school. And just recently been asking for pomegranate seeds to take, which is quite exotic. I'm like, okay, and we do have them. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I buy him a little pot of pomegranate seeds. But I said to him, Leo, why do you keep insisting on taking pomegranate seeds? He says, because the year 2 girls love them. I'm like, brilliant, mate. That is great. Smooth moves. That is awesome. So he's a really sweet little boy. And so this is him here in his egg and spoon race last year. Now, he's not like, at playtime, he's not like running onto the football field playing football with everyone else necessarily straight away. He's not like just like a natural sprinter or anything like that. He kind of runs, he kind of skips a bit. Maybe he gets that from me. Right, okay. So this is egg and spoon race. Now this is a problem, right? Because this was his first sports event. So you need to understand this, right? So it's a big field like this out there. It's his first time he's been with the entire school. All the school are sat at one side and all the parents are lined up at the other. This is a stressful situation, okay? And he's never done it before. So he's no idea what to expect at this sports day. So they're up for the egg and spoon race. Now all I wanted Leo to do was not fall over. That was the only thing I was thinking in my mind, please just don't fall over. But if he did, I had a plan, which was I was going to run up, pick him up and fly him over the line like Superman. I was going to restore him, I didn't want him to cry, that's what I was doing. I had a backup plan. So I just thought, just don't fall over, it will be good if you don't do that, mate. Now, he's got like 30 in his class, but there were like 6 lanes. So what was happening is, they were doing them in groups of 6. So 6 people would come up and do the egg and spoon race, then the next 6, and the next 6, and so on. And all the parents sit back here and watch. Well, I'd seen the first 2 groups go in his class, and I watched what they were doing and the mistake they were making, and I thought, he could win this. This is my chance. We could do this. So I'm dickhead parent now, stood up, storming up to the line, getting down Leo and giving him coaching, right, at the egg and spoon race. All the other parents like, who's that dickhead? I said, me, right? So I'm saying, Leo, what you've got to do is this. Just look up, look at me and run. Just keep your eyes on me. Because what was happening was this. Because no one knew what to do, they set off on their egg and spoon race. So they're like, go, right? So they're like looking at what the other people are doing. Everyone's looking at each other like, oh, and this is it. So everyone's looking at each other and holding themselves back, rather than saying, there's the finish line, I'm just going to bomb to it as fast as I can. They were looking at each other and holding everyone else back. Does that make sense? So I said to him, I'll be behind the finish line, just look at me and run. I thought, we've got this, right? So anyway, he did just that, and he just come bombing out. The problem was, Matthew next to him has now seen Leo bombing it and thought, I'm after him. So now there's only Leo and Matthew in the race, and they're bombing it miles ahead of everyone else. This was him, miles ahead of everyone else, but everyone else is way back there. He dropped it so close to the finish line. Matthew bombed it past, he picked it up, came over in 2nd place, and I was just so proud that he'd got a 2nd place badge, and he was like absolutely buzzing, made up from it. But what I realise is that we never quite want to stand out from the crowd. We never really realise our full potential. On a side note, we're the only life force on the planet that doesn't choose to become the very best we can be. The trees out here will choose to grow as tall as they can. They'll send their roots as deep as they can. They'll produce as many leaves as they possibly can. We're the only life force on the planet that doesn't actually choose to go for absolutely everything we possibly can. So when we're doing our exams, we may be trying to get an A, but we don't try and get 100% in the exam. We don't try and absolutely realise our full potential, and then we carry on with that with a group of people that we're with, and then we end up setting in business, and we do the same thing with egg and spoon race. We look at our competition and say, well, they're doing that, we'll just add a bit of this on, and we'll do a bit of that, or we'll shorten this time, or whatever. Forget about them. We don't want to compete. Competing is holding you back. Competing only benefits your customer. What you want to do is just to start dominating and just absolutely smashing it out the park. And I'll tell you, this is how I do this with my clients, and it's so simple what I do. All I end up doing with my clients is giving them permission to do what they already thought. They already know what to do. You guys, you already know what to do to be absolutely incredible, but you're just choosing not to do it. Maybe it's that voice in your head, or maybe someone else saying maybe you shouldn't do that, or you're worried about giving your secret recipe away, whatever. There's something going on in there, but all I ever end up doing with the clients is just saying, you're right. You know that thought that you've got, what you're thinking about doing, just do it. It's absolutely right. Just go with it. Put your foot down and go full bore with it, and ignore everybody else, because you know what you need to do. You've been given this gift. You don't expect anyone else to understand it. You can't, even if you're married or whatever, you can't expect that other person to understand what you're trying to do. Just absolutely go for it and put your foot down. And what we was talking about before to Hannah, I'm sorry to pick on you, Hannah, was just about taking action and going for it. Just absolutely going for it. And you can, as we were chatting, you were coming up with some excuses. I might say that, that's okay, but they were natural, and I've heard them a million times. Well, when am I going to get time to do the video? When am I going to get time to do the filming? Or what if it's not quite right? Or I've not done it before? Or this? Perfectly natural that everyone will think that, and it's just about the case of getting it done. So we've set Hannah a challenge of getting the first. She's got 7 days to get the first. Is that what we said? No pressure, yeah, of getting 7 days done. This microphone that I've got actually plugs into an iPhone. If you're doing filming videos and stuff like that, you've got to make sure you get the audio right. This is a Rode microphone, R-O-D-E, plug straight into an iPhone, and just get a simple tripod and just start doing stuff. And you can come to sessions like this and days like this, and you meet new people, and you maybe hear a couple of ideas, and you go back and say, that was really good, I learned some really interesting things, and nothing happens. Because what happens is you get out of here, you turn your phone on, you got all them shit voicemails to listen to, all them crap emails of people whinging about shit, and you don't actually get anything done. Just decide and commit to doing one thing. If you've found anything of interest today, we were talking about producing a video and getting a logo, an animated logo done, and I introduced Hannah to Fiverr.com, and we found that someone who could do your logo for £3.45 and animate it for you to start your videos off. So you're going to order that, you're going to get one of them done, and we're going to do your first video. Just get the ball rolling, just do something, and don't worry about it being crap. Don't worry about that first video being crap, or the ebook having typos in, or anything. It really doesn't matter. Just get it out there and start helping other people and sharing it with other people. Back to the webinar again next Tuesday if anyone's interested. If you don't turn up for that, it'll be recorded, and we'll get Liam to share it with everyone else as well. Has anyone got any questions on any of that? Did you put your hand up, John? Sorry. I thought you put your hand up. Sorry. Don't scratch. If you're going to scratch anything, it's got to be below shoulder height. I'll assume you want to say something. Hannah, did you put your hand?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, say if you've got a friend who they're thinking of setting up a business, but you don't think it's necessarily they're not going in the right direction. How do you sort of help them out with that? Because, I mean, if you're thinking of them sort of taking action and sort of going full steam ahead with it, but if you don't think that that's necessarily going to work out with them, how do you sort of advise them?
Yeah, I think it's with love is the first thing, with coming from a place of love. Now, it's really important, isn't it? You've got to have the right people around you to help you. It's something I talk about people having blind spots, and we all have blind spots in our lives and in our businesses that we're not going to see, and if you don't have the right people around you who are going to point those out to you, you will have a collision at some point. And so it's really important that you help the people around you, that if you can see that a blind spot they've got that they've maybe not pointed out, and it's important that you've got people on your team who are going to be prepared to do it with you as well. And all I would just say is just try and do it with love, in that you're trying to help them out. And it can feel harsh at the time. I've got people who are quite harsh with me, but they're just trying to help me and point things out that maybe you don't see yourself. Yeah, it's cool. Anything else? Yeah.
Developing a product, it's designed to be a very durable product. So the idea is once you've bought it, it's going to last you a long time.
Yeah.
So there's no recurring revenue stream.
Yeah.
I've got any sort of tips on, obviously there's lots of content there, there's sort of connecting with the customers, there's making that sale and then sort of upselling from there.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to have that opportunity really. It's going to be quite an expensive product, it's very durable. You buy it once, really that's going to be pretty much it.
Can you give it, is there anything you can sort of disclose?
Bin, but it's
a recycling?
It's a recycling bin. So in your household, get your normal bin and it's segregated so but there's a few extra sort of features to it.
Yeah.
But it's designed to be, as I say, a very durable product. It comes, can't say guaranteed for life, but if there's any problems with it, let us know, we'll repair it, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It's supposed to support the whole circular economy. So it's not intended to be something that someone will buy and use for a few years and chuck it away and come and buy a new one.
Yeah, sure.
So there's not that opportunity to sort of sell them a little bit and sell them some more.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can provide content for free surrounding that subject.
Yeah.
Associated subjects and sort of get that engagement. But to say there's not that, it's not like cookies where you can sell cookies time after time.
Yeah, sure.
I always don't want to buy one.
So you'll have to just have to invest more products, right?
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the thing. He's developed associated products. I mean, that is the plan. Would you just focus on that one sort of product?
Yeah, sure.
I'd be interested in the business size one. Instead of just a domestic one.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We've thought about that. Yeah, we start with a sort of standard size, and then think about larger, smaller, integrated, etc. etc. So, but if I've sold you one, if I sell you a standalone one, unless you get a new kitchen, it's unlikely that then you'll then go and buy an integrated one, if you like. So.
Yeah. So.
Recommend